Hello and welcome to Craft with Ronnie. I'm Ronnie Johnson, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm bringing you Technique Tuesday. Today we're going to do some watercoloring and we're going to be using some of our Stampin' Up! Inks. We're going to start by using this beautiful stamp set, Berry Harvest. I really love the background that this can create for a card. So to prepare for the video, I have already stamped my image using Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I stamped with Versamark ink, and then I used white embossing powder and embossed it and heat set it. The embossing kind of acts as a dam, so it keeps your colors from running between each other. Kind of forgot that I have to have my watercolor painters. So the watercolor painters from Stampin' Up! Come in 3 different sizes, and each one has a little bit different purpose. I like using the smallest one, which is what I'm going to be using today, for watercoloring. It's got a much smaller tip than some of the others, and I feel like I have a little better control. So we're going to start out by preparing our ink. Now, most of our inks, you can just squeeze the stamp or the ink pad and gather some ink in the well. And that worked fine on my Granny Apple Green and on my Blackberry Bliss. But for some reason, I just couldn't squeeze any on the Balmy Blue. So in a case like that, the easiest way to do it is simply take an acrylic block and push it down into the ink and make yourself a little palette of ink. Now we're going to start out and just pick a small area that we want to color. And for me, I'm going to start, I think, with the leaves. To me, those are the easiest ones to define. So I'm going to pick up some of the green, add a little water to it, but I'm not going to go really heavy-handed with it. And I'm going to pick a leaf, and I'm going to start, and I'm simply going to follow that embossing powder and fill in my leaf. Pick up some more, fill in another leaf. You know, if you're like I am and you really like to color, this can be a really relaxing thing to do. So grab another, and I'm just trying to decide where I want to go with it. I think right here. Now generally if I'm doing this and I'm doing a whole card front, I'm probably going to do all my green first or all of my other colors first, but in this case I want to be able to show you all of it. So I'm going to clean my brush, and I just squeeze a little of the water, clean it with a paper towel, and I'm going to pick up some of the Blackberry Bliss, and I'm going to paint in the berries. Pretty quick and simple, pretty basic touch. And then I also brought that Balmy Blue. I thought that Balmy Blue would make a really good background and kind of help set out the other images. So I'm going to pick up some of that blue, just a little bit of water. I like this one to be a little bit more watery, so I have a thinner color. And I'm just going to go between my images to add some interest. And I would just continue to do this for the entire piece. Now I'm not going to do that today because this would literally be like watching paint dry. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've done with it once I've got it all finished. But first I'm going to put away my ink pads because invariably, if I have them out, I'm going to stick my hand or my elbow in them. Close them up, get them out of my road. So here's the card I've finished up and created with this watercolor technique. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I started out with a piece that was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I used the second largest of the decal rectangle dies, and I cut it out. I also did the same thing with the Granny Apple Green piece. That left me with a strip. I took that strip and cut it down and added it to the inside of my card. So this is 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/4, and added to a piece of white cardstock that is 4 by 5 1/4 for nice coordinating inside. One other little thing I'd like to point out is the little basic rhinestone gems. They're just a clear gem, but I use them a lot because I find that with my Stampin' Blends, which is what I did here, I used the Blackberry Bliss Stampin' Blend and I added color to it. I can make them whatever color I want. One of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is the ability to coordinate products. So that's the card, and I just want to remind you again, you don't have to worry about the dimensions, etc. I'm going to have all that posted on my blog and with a link to this video so that you don't have to memorize all of it or write it all down. So I hope you enjoyed this technique. It's one of my more favorites. I think it is just a fun, easy, and relaxing way to craft. Until next Tuesday, happy crafting.